Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Wednesday, November 1st. Happy November to everyone out there. Hopefully you had a very happy Halloween, a good trade deadline day. Today we are getting into a Jaguars midseason report card. For all intents and purposes, it is the halfway point of the season for the Jaguars. They've played 8 of their 17 regular season games. They've got a bye week coming up this week before they take on the 49ers in Jacksonville. So we're going to get into report cards. Offense, defense, special teams. We'll talk about all of it at what is, in my opinion, the closest thing you'll get to a midpoint in the season now with a 17-game schedule in the NFL. Looking at the Jaguars, starting with the offensive side of the ball, overall, I'm giving the offense a B. I think when you look at the passing game, it earns a B as well. Running game, a B minus for me. I think the passing game, Trevor Lawrence has been fantastic for most of the season. There have been a few unforced errors here or there, but the level he is operating the Jaguars offense at, Doug Peterson and Press Taylor dialing it up for Trevor Lawrence and these receivers, I think overall from the passing game standpoint, you see a group that is doing a really good job. Again, Trevor Lawrence's timing, his accuracy, his ability to manage the pocket, to maneuver in the pocket, to get the ball out. He's been incredible throwing the ball deep down the field. You'd like to see them do that even more than they have, but when they have done it, they've done it at a high level. He's been accurate, short, accurate, intermediate. He's been hitting Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk. Calvin Ridley has been drawing a lot more attention than the other guys, so you haven't seen some of the biggest numbers from Calvin Ridley that you'd expect, and you saw some struggles here and there early on in the season with drops from this receiver group. The pass protection overall, I think, has been good enough, especially when you combine it with the fact that Trevor Lawrence gets the ball out very quickly in this offense, this Doug Peterson offense. So overall, I think the pass game is in a pretty good spot. It definitely can improve. I think you get Zay Jones back and you feel like you have 4 pass catchers you feel really good about instead of 3. That can obviously help. I think Travis Etienne's been good out of the backfield for the Jaguars as well. And adding Ezra Cleveland via trade certainly does not hurt your offensive passing game or running game. This is a guy that if he does come in and enter the starting lineup, I think that he's going to be solid for them from an athletic perspective, from a talent perspective, and a guy that can run block and hold up in pass pro really well. He's allowed 1 sack, I believe 6 pressures so far this year. So I think you look at Ezra Cleveland, it's a good addition, whether he certainly enters the starting lineup or not. It's going to help their depth. It's going to help their talent level, and you're not going to see the pass pro get worse moving down the stretch. I think if anything, it's got signs of improvement ahead. I think the passing game as a whole does. You just want to make sure that you're not having unforced errors with drops really in the passing game or missed assignments and pass protection. But overall, passing game a B. I give the running game a B minus. ETN gets an A for me. I do think there's some moments where he could certainly have better field vision overall, but he's been unbelievable with his ability to hit the home run, with his ability to hold up, break through contact, break tackles. He's forced the most missed tackles in the NFL so far this year. He's been scoring a ton of touchdowns for the Jaguars, getting it going in the receiving game as well last week. But this is a guy who's been a bell cow for the Jaguars all year. I think you'll continue to see that for them. But for me, the run blocking has been inconsistent from down to down. I think you've seen really high level moments from this from this offensive line and run blocking for them. And they do a lot of different stuff up front. So it's not like they're just doing one thing in the run game. They run a lot of gap principles and a lot of outside zone and a lot of inside zone. They try to mix it up. Most of the best running games do. I think that overall, though, there's been a lack of execution at times in the run blocking department for the offensive line, which is why I give it a B minus. They're not the most consistent rushing group in the NFL from a down-to-down basis, but they get a lot of big plays and they keep churning and keep grinding, and I think overall have done a very good job getting the run game going for the Jaguars and capitalizing with some big touchdowns. For the offense, again, it's a B for me. Must improve. Unforced errors. The Jaguars lead the AFC in fumbles. They are sixth in the most giveaways this year, so most turnovers on offense in the league. They are second overall in the NFL with the most fumbles at 9, trailing only the Minnesota Vikings, I believe. Could be wrong on that, but they are second in the NFL in the most fumbles lost. So you obviously got to clean things up. You've seen Tank Bigsby have some unfortunate errors. You've seen different guys have unforced errors, in my opinion, throughout this season. I think Trevor Lawrence has been taking care of the football pretty well, especially from a passing game standpoint. Obviously had the one inexcusable throw into the end zone, triple coverage in Pittsburgh. But overall, Trevor Lawrence is taking care of the football from a passing standpoint. But I just think you need to try to eliminate some of these unforced errors, mainly the giveaways here on offense. I think you want to keep improving in pass pro and in the run blocking department. Hopefully Ezra Cleveland is able to help you out in that regard, and hopefully maybe getting a little bit more healthy on the offensive line can help you out in that regard as well. And then make sure the drops don't creep back in too much. Early on in the season, the Jaguars receivers were leading the NFL in dropped passes. I think that they have been able to clean that up for the most part, but you certainly want to continue to make sure you're doing a good job in that department. Looking at the defensive side of the ball for the Jaguars, they've been unbelievable. The defense absolutely gets an A for me. Run defense has been so good. They get an A in that department for sure. Whether you're talking about Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker setting the edge, or the guys on the interior doing a good job, whether they're penetrating or just trying to eat up gaps, eat up blocks, all of those guys have been doing a fantastic job. And then linebackers, unbelievable. Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun have been so good against the run this year. Devin Lloyd has missed a couple tackles that you'd probably like to see him make, but overall playing really well in his second year as a former first-round pick that the Jaguars traded up for in 2022. And then guys on the back end, they are willing to come down and hit. Andre Cisco and Rayshon Jenkins, you know that they're willing to do it, but your corners as well. When Tyson Campbell's healthy, very good run defender out there. Trey Herndon and Darius Williams, while they aren't the biggest guys, they do give full effort against the run, and they do come down and make some big plays. So I think overall, this run defense, from a individual standpoint and from an entire defensive standpoint, a cohesion standpoint, the run defense has been absolutely awesome for the Jaguars. Pass defense, I give them a B+, okay? So there have been some coverage mishaps. There's been mistakes. There's been busted coverages at times. There's been times where they just get, out-hustled for a ball. But the good far outweighs the bad, and there has been so much good. They are constantly getting their hands on the football. They have the most dropped interceptions in the league, but they're also turning the ball over, forcing turnovers at the highest rate in football. If they had caught a few more, they'd be running away with this thing in terms of forced turnovers in the NFL. But they've been amazing getting their hands on the football. They've been fundamentally sound for the most part. Again, I said there have been a few coverage mishaps where you have a blown coverage here or there, a missed assignment here or there, but they are not giving up a ton of explosive plays. And they're doing all of this in the pass defense without a dominant pass rush. Yes, you do have a dominant pass rusher right now in Josh Allen. You do have Trayvon Walker making some strides over the last month or so, in my opinion. But the Jaguars' overall pass rush has not been fantastic, and that's the area that they must improve on the defensive side of the ball is pass rush consistency. Josh Allen cannot do it all by himself over and over and over again, week in and week out. Trayvon Walker, though, has stepped up, as I mentioned. I think you like what you've seen from him over the last month. He's got 2 sacks in the last 4 games. He's racking up more pressures every game, and obviously he does a very good job in terms of just being a freak out there, setting the edge, not allowing anything to get going in that regard. So, again, I want you to improve your pass rush consistency. Can you do that? I think if DeJuan Smoot continues to show development, coming back from his injury, if he continues to grow back into, potentially who he was in 2022 before his injury, where he was playing really high-level football. Kayvon Chason, he's doing some things here and there. Can he get a little bit more consistent as your 4th edge rusher? Obviously, the Jaguars had the opportunity potentially to go pursue a Josh Uche, who would have been a very good designated pass rusher for you. You drop him in there as your edge 3, comes in clear pass rushing situations, and then that bumps Kayvon Chason down the depth chart. That bumps DeJuan Smoot down the depth chart, and now you have a group you feel really good about from a pass rush standpoint. But I do think that Trayvon Walker developing, DeJuan Smoot continuing to get back into form, and then, as Devon Hamilton plays more snaps, he's not a tremendous interior pass rusher, but he can push the pocket. He can penetrate gaps. And I think that he could help as well in the pass rush department, even if that isn't his main job for the Jaguars defense. But this defense, a resounding A for Mike Caldwell in this group. Caldwell has done such a good job building his defense around what his players do well. And in this second year in this scheme, it looks like the players are really understanding their assignments. It hasn't mattered who's been injured, who's been healthy. You've lost, against the Steelers. You didn't have Tyson Campbell or Andre Sisco. It didn't matter. You had Buster Brown making some nice plays, obviously not at the level of a Tyson Campbell, but Buster Brown as a 6th-round pick in 2022 who struggled during his rookie year to come in and start some games for Tyson Campbell and play admirably. I think that is credit to Buster Brown, obviously, but credit to this defense as well. Kind of masking and hiding their different deficiencies. I think Mike Caldwell's had a tremendous season as the Jaguars defensive coordinator. And then looking at special teams, it's an obvious A for me as well. Outside of the Houston game, Brandon McManus has been absolutely perfect as a kicker, field goal kicker, and a guy doing the kickoffs. And then Logan Cook, he's still one of the best punters in this game. Jamal Agnew has had some big returns for the Jaguars overall. And then you see the coverage units and all the other units on special teams executing at a very high level right now. I think the Jaguars special teams under Heath Farwell in a really good place. They've got 3 of the best specialists you could ask for, again, in Logan Cook, Brandon McManus, and Jamal Agnew, and you can't forget Ross Matisic as well. The long snapper does a really good job for the Jaguars. So overall for the Jags at this midway point of the season, if you will, with 8 games under their belt, 9 games to go, I'm giving the Jags a B+ for their midseason report card. I think they've been really good overall. You're 6-2. You love where you're at. You do have room to improve on offense. There are some things you can do on defense to potentially help out the pass rush as well. You had a complete dud against Houston in week 3. You really probably should have beaten Kansas City in week 2 or at least scored more than 9 points. But outside of those 2 games, you look at this season, the Jaguars have been fantastic. Again, 6-2. And in those 6 wins, the Jaguars' average margin of victory is 10.8 points. They've been kicking ass over the last month, and in all their wins, they've been winning fairly convincingly. It's not been a ton of close games, hasn't been a ton of massive blowouts, but when your margin of victory is over 10 points, that's impressive in the NFL. It is hard to win by double digits in the NFL, and the Jaguars are averaging a double-digit victory in their 6 wins. They are 13-4 over the last calendar year in the regular season under Doug Peterson, Mike Caldwell at defensive coordinator, Press Taylor calling the plays on offense this year. This is a team that is in a really good place right now. You should be excited about where you're at, and you should be excited about where you can go on offense because they have not reached their ceiling. They have still been making mistakes. They still haven't hit their stride overall, in my opinion, and they're going to be getting Zay Jones back at some point. I think he's going to help open things up. I think with the addition of Ezra Cleveland, with getting Walker Little back soon as well, however that shakes out, the offensive line will be performing at a higher level than you've seen so far this year. So you should feel really good about where your Jaguars are at. B+ for them. The only reason that I don't have an A for them is because they have had a couple games where they shot themselves in the foot. A couple games they probably could have or should have won against the Chiefs and the Texans. But since then, it's been 5 straight wins for the Jaguars. So you got to feel great about that. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what grade you would give the Jaguars. You can also drop a comment in the comment section below. Hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, notification bell so you don't miss a show. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Really appreciate y'all. Have a good one.